Hey guys, welcome to today's video, and today we are going to talk about hidden signs of unhealed or unresolved trauma. Have you ever found yourself engaging in habits or behaviors which you can't even understand why you're doing them in the first place? Or have you ever found yourself like overreacting to small situations, and later on you even tell yourself that those situations didn't like necessitate that kind of reaction? Like for example, like you might find yourself so angry at some small matter, and then later on you wonder why you are so angry. If you feel some of those experiences, it probably means that you are still living with some unresolved trauma. Trauma can be simply defined as that deeply disturbing or painful experience which makes you feel so powerless or confused and weakens your sense of self, and also affects your capacity to experience or to feel the full range of emotions. It affects your capacity to live life in the present moment. And the thing is, there are no like objective criteria to determine which experience will be traumatic and which experience will not be traumatic, because each one of us has different reactions to even the same event. That's why trauma cannot be defined by the enormity of the event, but the response to the event or the response to the trigger. In that, like how we process those emotions, how our body or mind process those emotions is what defines something as trauma. Trauma is trauma, and we don't have to compare our traumatic events for it to be valid. Like, we don't say that my traumatic event was very, very traumatic, so I'm more traumatized no than someone else. No. As long as you just feel that a past event is weighing you down, that's trauma and it's valid. One thing about life is most of the times we try to either forget or ignore or just water down some of our past painful experiences. And we may even invalidate ourselves by saying things like, at least my childhood was better than someone else's, or at least I made it through alive, or something like, I shouldn't be feeling that way. These are just some of the ways we can use to invalidate our emotions instead of feeling those emotions at the present moment. As long as you are feeling something, or as long as you are feeling something is off in your life, or something doesn't make sense, then that's enough to determine that there is something in there deep within you which needs addressing. Some effects of trauma may be clearly visible, but some may be so hidden only for them to manifest in your daily life in some unnatural manner or in a way that doesn't make sense. This is now where like you find yourself engaging in some habits or behaviors which you can't stop yourself from doing, or which do not make sense at all. That means that there is something in there, there is some unhealed trauma which is pushing you to do or to engage in those actions. The fact is, even if we cannot see a wound, it doesn't mean that it's not there or it's not affecting the way we live our life presently. And something about unresolved trauma is it can impact our bodies or how our bodies function, instead that it can the effects the long-term effects of carrying that trauma within us can even be fatal. So, what are some of the hidden signs of unresolved childhood trauma? The first one is when you find yourself having difficulty building healthy relationships with others. Have you ever felt that you are always attracting unhealthy relationships in your life and you can't even figure out why it's happening to you? The relationship you always find are places where people use you for their own needs. And you might even know that someone is toxic or someone is abusive, but you just can't help yourself out of it, or you just can't help it. You just jump in. You may even experience some feeling of excitement being in these kind of chaotic relationships. And at times when you find yourself in a healthy relationship, you will feel that, this guy or this lady is so boring, and you will find a way to sabotage that relationship. When you find yourself unable to attract like healthy relationships, it will simply mean that you have attachment issues which are stemming from your childhood upbringing. So you will be seeking relationships that will reinforce that trauma bonds or those intense attachments, instead of healthy kind of attachment. And when you are carrying like unresolved trauma, you will have this deep fear of abandonment, insecurity, or rejection. That's why you will also find yourself being easily attached or easily swayed, even when you know someone is taking you for a ride. You'll just jump in, you'll not even scrutinize, you'll just jump in because that's like a default for you. Like the unresolved trauma is driving you towards that route. Another sign of unresolved childhood trauma is extreme reactions to small situations. Have you ever felt that you always blow out of proportion every small situation happening in your life? For example, like you might misplace even something small like a TV remote in the living room, but you find yourself so angry about it and you even panic, even if that situation might be having just a small or minimum effect in your present life, but you just make a huge deal out of it. These emotional reactions are symptoms of unresolved trauma, as it means that those emotions are still lacking in there and they are always waiting for any situation for them to be unleashed. Overreacting to small things simply means that you are still carrying stuck emotions from your unresolved trauma deep within you, and any opportunity, and they're just waiting for any opportunity so that they can reveal themselves. So they're just there deep within you. They're just waiting to come to the surface when they get the chance to. And these chances now come when you react to those small situations. Another hidden sign of unresolved childhood trauma is when you are just unable to cope with day-to-day activities in a healthy way. You see, like our everyday life, we have stress and just a little stress, which is okay. And some examples of daily stresses are things like having many tasks to do, concerns about your job, concerns about your family, misplacing things, traffic, or just anything which makes your life a little bit hard. Of course, most people will find it really easy to overcome those daily hassles with less effort. But for someone who has unresolved trauma, you will always find yourself being so stressed or resorting to unhealthy habits like daily drinking or lashing out at others because you are unable to cope with these daily hassles. Of course, this can be normalized as like it's okay, it's a normal thing. But if you look deeper, it means there is something that you have not deeply resolved deep within you. Unresolved trauma can manifest as that feeling of being unsure of yourself, being deeply unsure of yourself to even tackle those simple uncomfortable situations. It's more of your, like you find yourself like early in the morning, you have just concluded that I can't do it without even giving it a try because deeply you don't even trust yourself, or you just feel that you don't have the capacity to do it. You just feel so weak. Another hidden symptom of unresolved childhood trauma is this deep feeling that you are a bad person even without having a clear basis on how you arrived at that conclusion. You may always feel that you are always at fault, or you might even think that you are cursed because of everything which is happening in your life. The root of this is mostly because you were mistreated or you were rejected or abandoned as a child, which implanted this deep belief that you deserved it or you are bad. Self-blame is a common survival response because it's too devastating to blame your caregiver or your guardian because you depend on them to provide you with your childhood needs. Like, you can't find yourself blaming that caregiver when you're young because of them mistreating you or them abandoning you or them rejecting you, because you still have to depend on them. So the only one you have to blame is yourself. And what reinforces this core belief or feeling that you are a bad person or something is wrong with you is that when you find yourself committing the normal mistakes in life, you will use it as evidence of your badness or of your curse. And as an adult, something might be happening in your life which is even out of your control. But you will always have this deep feeling that it's happening to you because you are a bad person. This is because it's just that subconscious belief that you are unworthy of anything good. That's a huge sign of unresolved childhood trauma. Another hidden symptom of unresolved trauma is unexplained or weird physical symptoms. You see, like trauma can affect our physical health in various ways because the body keeps the score of our past distressing experiences. So signs of unresolved trauma may manifest through like physical conditions or what's called like somatic conditions, which can't be fully explained by a medical condition. This is because like our brain can process emotions through our physical body, and we might still be carrying those emotions with us in the present life. So our body might still be carrying those emotions from the past, and now these emotions will manifest as physical symptoms. These physical symptoms can be something like chronic fatigue, insomnia, dizziness, digestion issues, high blood pressure, or frequent migraines. So that's the effect of unresolved trauma on our physical health. The last hidden sign of unresolved trauma is this strange uneasiness in certain places or events, or when you are with some people. Have you ever found yourself feeling so uncomfortable or fearful when you visit some place, or when you are at an event, or when you interact with some people, but you cannot even give a clear reason on why you are feeling that way? This is mostly a sign of unhealed trauma, as those situations are triggering some deep fear within you, and this deep fear is causing you to go into fight or flight mode. So you might leave the place, or you might leave the person, or you find yourself over defending yourself when you are interacting with them. And when we are faced with situations which remind us of our past painful experiences, our brain and our bodies may react in the same way we reacted to those situations in the past. That's why sometimes you might feel something feels off even without any sight of immediate danger. That's just the subconscious mind doing its thing. Understanding the signs of unresolved childhood trauma in adulthood is one of the key steps towards recovery. Of course, it may be hard to identify if the root of your current undesirable behaviors is a past traumatic event. And that's why the first place to start is to keenly look at some of your present behaviors and open up instead of suffering in silence. If you just have some undesirable behavior, it's better to open up instead of suffering. And as a general rule of thumb, if you find yourself constantly engaging in some undesirable behavior or actions, and you just can't stop yourself from doing it, then it probably means that there is something deep within you which needs to be addressed. And even though you may not be fully aware of it, you may still just be subconsciously reacting to past experience your body has locked away inside you. Some of the reasons why you may be afraid of opening up or seeking help for trauma is we may feel guilty, and we may be so afraid of opening the Pandora's box. And it's okay to feel that way, because there is safety and comfort in repressing all kinds of things deep within us, especially when we feel that we are not strong enough to deal with them. However, one thing we need to note is it's also important to take the necessary steps to process those emotions. Trauma can be safely released with proper help and with an effective healing modality. That's why getting proper help with processing your trauma will unburden you from the emotional baggage you are still carrying with you to your present life. In fact, like, the main challenge of trauma is not actually dealing with the past, it's just getting you to the point where you can live the present life, or you can enhance the quality of your present life without the past having a huge toll on it. That's it for me today, guys. Hope you found this informative. Until next time, see ya.